Welcome to Hans Christian Andersen's Copenhagen, made possible with GPS My City. More about them later. Nestled in the corner of the Copenhagen City Hall Square, you will find the statue of Hans Christian Andersen, made in 1965 by Henry Luko Nielsen. And this is so symbolic. It is pointing down towards Hans Christian Andersen's Boulevard, one of the main streets of Copenhagen. It is a heavily trafficked artery named after our famous poet. He is also looking over towards Tivoli, a place said to have inspired some of his works. And that is the special thing about this statue and the start of this walk. And remember, down in the description there will be a link so you can follow along, walk along with me, or just enjoy me as I use up all my steps to see this Hans Christian Andersen's Copenhagen. But let's head out there and see some more of Hans Christian Andersen's Copenhagen. And right on the other side of the Copenhagen City Hall Square, you will find Hans Christian Andersen's experience. Yeah, it's a bit of a touristy experience, but it's a good place to get well familiar with his stories, with his origin, with his life. I'll not be heading in there today, but I can warmly recommend that you try it out. And this is not sponsored by them. I just pointed out because it's a way for you to get smarter on Hans Christian Andersen, but let's head for something real Copenhagen-y, Hans Christian Andersen themed, and I will tell you much more about it when you reach there. So let's head more into the city. Back on the 6th of September 1819, a young Hans Christian Andersen, only 14 years old, followed some travelers. They ended up here at Vestergade 18, where he checked in to the inn. And yes, he was only 14 back then when he checked in. Back then he didn't know anybody here, but like a fairy tale, he knew that the bustling Copenhagen would spark his interest. And today this building is, well, it's a decent nightclub if you're looking for something like that. But know that this was where he started his rise to be the great author, the great poet, the great person we know. And the next spot will surely interest you. Right behind me you have the Round Tower of Copenhagen, built by Christian IV, and it has its appearance in Hans Christian Andersen's Fairytale Tinderbox. You know, the one where the soldier meets the witch, where he jumps down into a hollowed out tree and meets three more terrifying dogs, one more terrifying than the other, and they talk about the Round Tower. It's this one. And you can get up into it for only 60 Danish crowns, and you can get a great view of Copenhagen. I'm not going to do that today because I think 60 crowns is too much. And if you want to know more about the Round Tower, then check out GPS My City, the one app I use to guide me through Copenhagen and other cities. It has a lot of information. For example, as you wind up, your first pit stop is the gallery featuring contemporary art. It says that to me right here in the app. So make sure that you check out GPS My City. I will link to this exact walk down in the description. right behind me you have Magasin du Nord, one of the oldest shopping centers, you might call it. A fabrics empire, we can also call it. It is one of the oldest in Copenhagen, but it holds a secret. Because it is in there you will find Hans Christian Andersen's apartment, the apartment he had when he was 22, the apartment where he started to write his masterpieces, and it is free of charge to visit it. So you can go in there and visit his old home and see how he used to live, this famous poet. And of course in the GPS My City app you will read much more about Magasin du Nord at the same time as you walk this walk. But let's just turn a bit around, because right over here you have the Royal Danish Theater. The Royal Danish Theater does of course also relate to Hans Christian Andersen, because it is there most of his plays have been put up. And even back when he was alive, he had plays put up in there, because at some point the king liked his writings and they were made into plays. So if they have a play on that is from Hans Christian Andersen, you will find it in there, and of course a lot of other places here in Copenhagen, but know that this was the first place that really took his poetry to heart, his adventures, his fairy tales. They took it in there. And let's head for a place where Hans Christian Andersen also used to live, and where he wrote some of his most important masterpieces. So come with me. Just on the other side of the King's New Square, you will find the new harbor. And Hans Christian Andersen actually made this his home for 18 years. He lived in number 20, number 18, and number 67. And you will find them all right down there. It is where he wrote some of his masterpieces. It is also where he saw the dock workers, because back then it wasn't a restaurant neighborhood as it is today. It was a busy dock. It was a busy harbor with all the freight ships coming in, unloading, loading, and he was witness to it all. It is where he dreamt away to faraway lands as he wrote his fairy tales. And YouTube thinks you will like this video right here. You will find a GPS My City's YouTube page right there.